Hi everyone. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy Tuesday. Happy New Year and happy Tuesday. I am so glad to be here. I am glad to be out of a grief cocoon and back into creation mode. And if any of you have ever experienced severe grief, and I'm not here to rate your grief against my grief, so whatever that means to you, I am so glad that you are here, that you are alive, that you are on a journey of finding deeper meaning and purpose and making better sense of the world around you. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I've kind of been incognito for a few months. Most of you wouldn't have noticed it, right? Because I've still been in this group. Hey everyone, welcome. I've still been in the group, okay? And I have still been as active as I could be. But I first want to welcome all the new members, okay? We have got Facebook ads going. They are working. They are being sent to take the amazing content personality quiz. And then they are also, get the pop-up to, do they want to, join our awesome group. And I have welcomed them. I also realize that this is a unique time, and I'm honoring that they are coming into a group for marketing and they're going to hear about a lifestyle transition. And guess what? It's part of my brand. It's part of who I am. And it's absolutely 100% of what I teach day in and day out in marketing. So welcome everyone. I also want to say before we get started today, you might want to grab some tissues. I have mine available. I'm feeling super strong today, but that doesn't mean that I will, see, it's already started, that I will get emotional. So grab your tissues. You may need them. And I just want to say to all the people who, I went out to San Diego to speak. Paulette, you were so kind. That was 3 days after the news of my husband being transgender. And I did the best I could in San Diego. I am proud to say I still fucking made money off that event. Like, I showed up and I taught and I did what I was supposed to do, and I made the commitment to Sarah, who brought me into her event as a speaker, and I made the commitment to everyone who paid for a ticket in that room, and I have followed up and I have signed clients and I have made about 30 grand off that event. So knowing that I can do that 3 days after this life-changing news, huge. Okay, huge lesson for all of us there. Honor your commitments. Believe me, I wanted to not go to San Diego. I wanted to not go to San Diego. I wanted to stay on my couch and grieve and cry and scream and yell and figure out my life. And it took every bone in my body and my spouse telling me, you've made a commitment to these people, you can do this. And it wasn't pretty. I was on a panel. Oh, those of you that were there, I was on a panel. And one of the questions was, what is joyful right now in your life? And I sat there for a long time and I thought, I'm at this event and I should probably be talking about what's joyful, but I didn't. I stood true to what I believe, which is telling the truth. And I said from that stage, nothing is joyful right now. I'm not moving to Costa Rica after a year of planning it, and there's other stuff going on, and I'm not in a good place. And I actually won an award. I didn't know they were giving awards, but I won an award for having the most vulnerable share. And I won a lot of hearts. And I won those hearts because I was real. And I didn't cover up the pain. I was in no place to talk about it, but I certainly didn't cover up the pain. So Welcome everyone. Thank you for all the new members. Thank you to everyone who's like stood by me throughout these past few months. It has been life-changing, and I am so grateful to have built a community that has my back. So thank you. These are gratitude tears. These are gratitude tears. Okay, so what happens when your husband becomes your wife? First, let's just be real. It's a total mind fuck. Okay, like we're just gonna be real here. It's a total mind fuck. And I've got to learn so many amazing things about myself and where I held beliefs that I didn't know I had. I got to learn so many amazing things about my spouse. And one of them is that we don't share the bathroom well. Like, we need a bigger place with more than one bathroom, because both of us trying to like get ready in the morning, it's creating like marital unbliss. So, you know, I can insert some humor here when it's appropriate. But it's a practice. It's going to be a practice. She needs to learn to speed up her process of getting ready to get out the door to work. And maybe I need to learn to, literally it takes me about 15 minutes to get ready. Seriously. Lipstick, earrings, fluff the hair out, like I'm good. Not the case. We're still learning all the makeup. I have a fashionista on my hands is what's happened. And the fashionista is into all kinds of things that have never interested me. We're doing a workshop right now on the curated closet. So yes, Kiki, she's new at it. I really don't care too much about fashion. Maybe it'll change, but it's all good. Learning. Okay. Osai, I'm going to ask you to leave this Facebook Live right now, because this is not the place to do that. We don't pitch in this group like that. So I know you're new to the group, and everyone else, let's keep it rolling. Okay. So here's kind of how it went down. Maria woke me up in the middle of the night on a Saturday and said, I need to talk to you. And the week before was a really intense week. Like, she wasn't eating, upset stomach, you know, nerves, like couldn't just really tell like what was happening. Of course I was asking, right? Like I noticed it, but to be honest, she wasn't quite sure what was happening. All of this came about because of the book we were doing. If you guys remember the workshop, what the hell's the name of that book? The art book, The Artist's Way. And there were so many questions about finding your path and going back in your past, and if you could redo things. Like, this is what bubbled up. My spouse and I do a book club every single month together. So here we were, week 8 or week 9, and you know, the realization hit, and she had to do a lot of prep for that week. I know what was going on now. We know what was going on. She was so nervous to come to me and tell me this realization, because what's my wife gonna say, right? Like, I can leave, I can stay, I can be pissed off. There were so many things. So kudos to her for having the courage to live her truth. That's the first thing, right? So anyway, wake up, get woken up Saturday at 2 a.m. and she says, I have to talk to you. It's something that's really uncomfortable for me. And I don't know how you're going to take it. And I'm scared. But if I don't talk to you, I feel like my option is suicide. And that for me was when I rose out of bed and I said to myself, I remember it clear as day, my spouse needs support, whatever is shared with me. I am going to be the friend in the moment because I would rather have a spouse that is alive than a spouse that is not. That was a defining moment for me. And granted, I had no idea what was coming, but I had to take everything and every judgment and say, like, come out of my body and say, what do you need from me? Right? So that was that. Then the news was shared. And it was a shock. It was a shock to both of us. And this was early October. Many of you know we called off Costa Rica in late October. But this was not that. Like, we did not call off Costa Rica because of this news. Now we know it's a blessing. Costa Rica was called off because of some really bad crime happening in the neighborhood that we bought the house. Okay? So we had this news, and we're going to continue on to Costa Rica and figure this out in Costa Rica. But anyway, we had the discussion. And to be honest, it wasn't much of a discussion because nobody knew how to talk about it. And I was in shock and she was in shock. And we were like, what the fuck? Like, really, what the fuck? Like, what do we even do with this information, right? So it was a very hard week. And 3 days later, I flew out to San Diego. And I was very nervous because Maria was not in a good place mentally. She was relieved that I was going to stay, right? But she just wasn't in a good place. I mean, when you decide that you're a woman and you've lived your life as a man, and then you have to go face society, and you have to do it in a fucking homophobic, Trump-led environment where hate is preached, and don't get me, like, I cannot go there right now. Anyway, all of this to say, it was a rough week. I flew out to California, did what I was supposed to do. Did a really great job too, I might add, under the circumstances. Came back and, you know, there were 3 questions. This is what I want you all to know. How do you stay grounded when your whole world falls apart? I asked myself these 3 questions multiple times a day in the very beginning. Okay? Am I still in love? Yes. Am I scared and uncomfortable? Yes. Do I want to stay? Yes. And every day, those questions saved me. If I got 3 yeses, and now I have a no, am I scared and uncomfortable? No. I mean, there's other things that I'm not scared and uncomfortable anymore. But that was my mental check. And let's be really honest. Okay, you guys ready? We're going to be really honest. I fucking have an apartment in Brooklyn, a house in Pennsylvania, a house in Costa Rica, and make a fucking shit ton of money. I could leave. I'm not bound. I built a business that is profitable. It is successful. It brings me joy. I am not hurting for clients. We're going to talk about that. Okay. I am not hurting for a place to go. I am independent. Okay. There's no reason for me to stay if I wasn't in love. Right. So those were the 3 questions that I asked as I went through an immense grieving process. And, you know, there's still periods of grief. They're not nearly as immense, but when all the hair came off, that was a horrible week. Horrible week for me. Okay. When it was time to call Planned Parenthood about hormone replacement therapy, horrible week. And what I started to notice was a pattern. I was good until the next thing came. Right. And when the next thing came, I spun out. But I grounded myself. I called Lauren. I called Manette. And I just figured it out. Right? With the 3 questions and staying completely rooted in love. Which brings me to what I want to talk to you about today in your brand, which is, if you're going to build a brand and a life that matters, you better know your values. And you better know where you stand. And you better not fucking run when they're challenged. Because people will see it and they will call a snake. And your reputation is what precedes you. Your reputation is what precedes you. Okay? So, what is my value? What have I taught day in and day out in this brand from the beginning? Be 100% who you are. And when my spouse shared with me that he now had this realization that he was supposed to be a woman, I was confronted with a lot of shit. But the number one thing that popped in my brain and I kept saying to myself is, Shannon, you teach day in and day out to be 100% who you are. What are you going to do now? You get to live your brand. You get to live your values. You get to decide if you're going to support this person you fully love and in the process have to work through some of your own shit. So I can live 100% who I am with the new information, right? Or are you going to leave? Because the person who loves you and who you're in love with wants to be 100% themselves. And that was the no-brainer for me. Even though I knew my parents were not going to fucking get it. And those of you who know my story and know my family and know that I have had to do so much work to even have friends of a different ethnicity and color, to even move to New York City, right? To even, it's not a good, the way I was raised was not good for me. And I had to get out, okay? In the process of getting out, I have been able to maintain family relationships that are fucking amazing. Because it's been a choice that we will focus on the things that bring us together and not the things that make us different. And we all have to do a lot of work to get to that point, okay? But shared the news with my parents on Sunday. Maria shared the news with her parents and family on Sunday. And let me tell you, my parents have yet to answer me. It's been 48 hours. And it's okay. They are dealing with it in their own way. And my sisters fucking have my back. And if you don't think that I didn't have a strategy these last 3 months of who I was going to get my allies on which side, I'm the strategist, people. Like, come on. I knew what was coming in terms of my parents. And I went to my sisters in October and I told them immediately. And I cried to them every day from my bed in San Diego when I wasn't on that stage. And they helped me. And they said, we will take care of mom and dad when it's time. Because you've got to get yourself back to where you want to be. And when you're there, you don't need to go back to where you are now. And so I enrolled them. Literally. You want to talk about sales and marketing? I fucking enrolled my sisters in my marketing of how this was going to be unveiled to my family. Right? So they helped me. Then we told their children, right? Because we knew the first thing that my parents were going to say is call up the sisters and say, don't tell your children. Please don't tell your children. This is not something that should be spoken about in public. We shouldn't be giving people ideas. My parents don't even think transgender is a thing. They think it's some made up fucking thing. Okay, so just so you know what I'm dealing with here, my parents think it's like this thing that's made up that people just want to switch sexes. Okay, so this isn't easy for them. But we told the siblings, we told the nieces and nephews, there's 6 of them. I was there with 3. The other 3 were told Saturday, and my parents got the email Sunday. Okay, and my sisters are dealing with the fallout. And guess what? I'm not owning it. I am not responsible for their reactions, their emotions, their judgments, and their feelings. They got to deal with their own shit, yo. Like, deal with their own shit, right? So, my sisters are helping with that. Okay, my sisters are helping with that. And I'm very, very grateful for that. Okay, so you've got to be 100% you. And people told me, only one, Shannon, you don't have to talk about this in your brand. It's very private. And I'm like, how can I not talk about this? Like, my spouse is the DJ for my events. You all know Maria. You know her. How could I not talk about it? And by the way, there's been no pictures of us since like September. Like, isn't that a little odd? And that's not living my truth. So no, I wasn't going to just not talk about it in my brand. And then all of a sudden I'm seen on my Facebook profile with this woman called Maria. Like, I have a public brand, but my brand is rooted in my values, and my life is rooted in my values, and my business and my sales and my marketing and my passion, they are rooted in my values. And so when I finally came to terms with this, okay, and it took a while. I'm not going to lie. This has not been easy. None of this has been easy for either of us. But when I finally could get in a place where I was standing and I was grounded and I was like, okay, this is it. This is the new reality. All right. I said, this will be my second book, and this will become part of my platform. Because I'm not going to sit around and hide pieces of who I am when I go out and teach people to be 100% who they are. Right? So this is why I'm going to talk about it. And I don't see myself becoming some big activist. I'm not even a vegan activist. Like, I'm a fucking make more money activist. That's what I am. I want you to make a lot of money in your business by being 100% you. That's what I want. Okay? That's what I want. So what did I do in 3 months? I had to scale way back. Way back. Okay? I had to scale so far back. I was down to like 2 clients. All right? I let people graduate from my one-on-one, and I didn't take sales calls. Like, I quit sales calls. I scaled my team back. Everyone went to less money on my team. Almost everyone. Their retainer dropped. I said, I can't do this right now. Like, I don't want to lose you, but I need to scale everyone and everything back. So I scaled back, and I focused on, I'm not going to even say joy, because it wasn't joyful. There's still many days that aren't joyful. Okay? I'm coming back to joy, and I'm excited about it because it feels good again. But really, I'd lay on the couch, I'd watch movies, I'd go for a walk in the woods. We were in therapy within a week. I'm really proud of that, actually. Like, we wasted 0 time getting a therapist. And we both have our own therapist, and we have a marriage therapist as well. Like, we weren't fucking around. When we realized this is happening and we want to stay together, we went into therapy. And guess what? I didn't get online and start Googling shit either. I didn't want to read anyone else's story. I didn't want to read anyone else's comments. I didn't want to read anyone else's transgender experience with the wife or the husband and who left and who stayed. I wanted to do it my way. I wanted to make my own decisions with the data I had, which was my feelings and my values and my intuition, right? So I still don't know a lot about it, because you know what? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like, I'm in love, I'm staying, we're figuring shit out, we're in therapy, I'm building a business, let's go. Like, let's go. Let's go, right? So when it was time to re-enter into the world again, really, and that took a lot of courage, all right? And I had, you guys, 100% courage, okay? And we had to start doing things. We practiced going on a date as a female couple. That was really fucking weird. Really weird. Okay, I didn't like the first date. In fact, I had a panic attack and we had to come home. It was not good, all right? And there were lots of reasons it wasn't good. And mainly it was because I was scared for my safety. For the first time in my life, I'm white woman, okay? I live in Brooklyn. I'm not generally scared for my safety, but I'm in a marginalized group now. And I was scared. And we had to come home. And our therapist gave us a date redo on a much lower level. It involved going to the park and walking. By the way, my kind of date, come to find out, like, that's pretty much what I like to do anyway. All right. So we had to practice things. We had to practice a lot of things. Okay. But we eventually got over the date thing. Now we go out in public all the time. It's good. We're pretty good. Okay. But also, re-entry for me meant making sure I had aligned my allies. And this is where all of you come in. I'm going to need you again. Okay. I'm just going to tell you right now. Okay. So if you're up for the next phase, I would love to see some hearts or some thumbs up. All right. We have yet to make this public outside of this group or outside of close family and friends. All right. So that's coming. I'm trying to give my parents a little bit of time because we share a lot of family and friends on Facebook and they're freaking the fuck out. All right. So maybe next week, like, I ain't giving them too much time because honestly, they need to like get on with it. Right. Like, hello, this is your daughter we're talking about. Like, let's go. All right. So we will be making the post in the next week and a half public on a public Facebook page. And, you know, I'm not asking anyone to do anything outside of what you normally do. Just go be yourself and like comment on that post, because this world needs to see that every person matters. Everyone matters. Every person matters. And if I can say one thing, I have seen so much love and support from all of you in this group in the last few days. It's actually been unbelievable. Okay, so watch my personal page. Give it some comments and some love. All right, and here's what I want to leave you with. 2018 fucking sucked for me. Let's just be honest, okay? If you want me to recap it, I'm going to recap it in like 3 events. The mean girls came after me and tried to steal my money, tried to bring my name down, tried to take my brand away, tried to turn people in my programs away from me, and I fucking won. Because I got pissed off and I hired a lawyer and I got all my money back. But the real reason I won is because it's 2019 and I'm still standing here building a successful business. And the best revenge you can give any of your haters is go be fucking successful. Because they'll eventually get tired of seeing you show up everywhere. Okay? So that's lesson 1. The thing that sucked, number 1. The number 2 thing was we bought a house in Costa Rica and we are not moving there. Okay. And many of you were with me through that. You, whatever. I'm unpacked. I'm in Brooklyn. I'm fine with it. We're here. We need to sell. All right, we need houses sold. Pennsylvania houses and Costa Rica houses need to sell. All right. But that was a huge dream of ours, and we're not doing it. Okay. And we're okay with that now, honestly. I do get a little emotional sometimes, but really it is for the best at this point in our lives. And we'll regroup and we'll figure out where we want to go. All right. And then the third thing was just this whole identity and relationship shift, right? Like it was huge. And it's still huge, and I'm still not like out of it. Like every day there's things that we haven't thought about that we're figuring out. Welcome to life. Welcome to life, right? There's not a manual for when your spouse changes gender. None, okay? None. And if you go looking for something, which I haven't done, I'm sure I'm going to find bogus shit that I don't even want to read anyway. So I'll make my own damn manual, right? Like my manual is my heart. My manual is the love. My manual is keeping a deep connected friendship with my spouse. Like that's my manual. All right. But here's what I want you to know. Even though 2018 just sucked for me and I had to lay off team and I had to do all this other stuff, do you want to know something? I took 3 weeks off at the end of 2018 into 2019. I still came back with a full client roster, a full wait list. I got 4 events planned for 2019. I'm bringing back Time and Freedom Live. Okay, I'm doing 2 Joy Money Matrix retreats because, geez, don't we all need to know how to come back to joy and live a joyful life every single day. Okay? I have 15 sales calls booked. I've booked 8 or 9 trips because travel is going to be my thing in 2019. Okay? And my spouse has given me the blessings to go because guess what? Travel ain't easy when you're between man and woman and name change and gender change and have to show up in an airport with a passport and shit that doesn't match. But travel is a value of mine. And she said, go. Find the friends and go. Go travel. We'll continue traveling again in 2020 once we get all this sorted out. And that was all I needed to hear. Jennifer Williams invited me to Mexico. So I booked the trip for Day of the Dead in Mexico City. I'm really, really excited. Natalie Fox invited me to New Orleans at the end of March. So I'm going to New Orleans. All right. And I'm going to Africa to volunteer with an organization that my business supports. And I'll be there for 3 weeks. So I'm booking the trips. I'm living my life, right? And when we can't live our lives together right now, because of things like passports and name change and gender markers and all of that, we're okay. And we're strong enough to say, you go do that and I'll join you again in 2020. That is a powerful relationship. So I'm going to leave you with this. What is your excuse? The haters came, they stole my money. My dream of Costa Rica is gone. My relationship has shifted. And I still started 2019 with a fully booked roster, a rebranded program ready to welcome people, sharing my story, sharing my services. The time is now. The world needs you. It needs your voice. It needs your story. It needs your services. You need to get a strategy together and go build and expand your business. That is the message I'm leaving you with today. Thank you for joining me. I love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all your love and support. And I will see you in the Facebook group. Adios.